I used to work for a police agency in a quaint, historical village nestled within a bustling city. This village was a hidden gem, a place where time seemed to stand still, with its cobblestone streets, charming shops, and friendly faces. My job was to patrol the area, ensuring that everything remained secure, especially after dark. With Halloween approaching, the village became a focal point for spooky events like haunted corn mazes, ghostly scavenger hunts, and elaborate decorations that transformed the streets into a canvas of shadows and light. One chilly October night, after ensuring that the employees of the local shops made it to their cars safely, I started my rounds. The air was crisp, and the scent of fallen leaves mixed with the faint aroma of spiced cider wafting from a nearby cafe. As I walked through the village, my flashlight beam flickered across the storefronts, illuminating pumpkins carved into grinning faces and cobwebs draped across doorways like gossamer veils. Everything seemed normal until I arrived at the old antique shop, its sign creaking gently in the evening breeze. To my surprise, I noticed the front door was slightly ajar. Frowning, I approached and pushed it open, peering inside. I remembered the staff had closed up hours ago, and it struck me as odd that the door would be left unlocked. After securing the door, I made a mental note to check in with the shopkeeper the next day, thinking perhaps the employees had forgotten to lock up properly. However, a few nights later, as I made my rounds again, I was startled to find the same door unlocked. My unease deepened, especially since the staff had assured me they'd closed it each time. Curiosity piqued. I stepped inside the dimly lit shop, greeted by the musty scent of old wood and dust. Halloween decorations hung from the ceiling, casting eerie shadows across the walls. The flickering lights from the faux jack-o'-lanterns danced across the antique furniture, giving the place a surreal ambience. As I wandered deeper into the shop, I noticed a small, creaky staircase leading to an attic I had never seen before. The allure of the unknown tugged at my curiosity. With a mixture of excitement and trepidation, I ascended the stairs, the wooden steps creaking beneath my weight. The attic was dim, illuminated only by a few shafts of moonlight that filtered through a dusty window. Antique furniture was scattered throughout the room, draped in white sheets like ghosts awaiting liberation. In the corner, I spotted a family photo hanging on the wall, an old-time snapshot of a family standing proudly in front of a barn. Their expressions were serious, their clothes indicative of a bygone era. The photo had an almost magnetic pull, drawing me closer. I reached out to touch it, feeling a connection to the lives once lived in this village. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the shop as the front door, which I had left open, slammed shut. My heart raced as I dashed downstairs, expecting to find someone or something waiting for me. But the shop was empty, the air heavy with an unsettling silence. I locked up quickly, a shiver coursing down my spine, and finished my rounds with my senses heightened, hyper-aware of every creak and rustle around me. In the following days, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off in the village. It was as if the very essence of the place had shifted, and a whisper of the past lingered in the air. I began to notice things I hadn't before. Fleeting shadows at the edge of my vision, the distant echo of laughter that seemed to come from nowhere, and a general sense of being watched. Each night, as I patrolled the cobblestone paths, the village felt alive, imbued with a history that had long since faded from memory. One night, after finishing my rounds, I decided to return to the antique shop. I felt an inexplicable urge to explore further, to uncover the secrets that lay hidden in the shadows of that place. As I approached, the air grew colder, and the hairs on my arms stood on end. The door was locked this time, but I took a deep breath and knocked. half expecting to see a ghostly figure answer. To my surprise, the door creaked open on its own, as if inviting me inside. I hesitated for a moment, heart pounding, but the pull of the unknown was too strong to resist. I stepped inside, the air thick with dust and memories. The shop seemed different now, as if it were alive, holding its breath in anticipation of my arrival. I made my way to the attic again, my footsteps echoing softly as I climbed the stairs. This time, I felt a presence, a weight in the air that spoke of stories left untold. The family photo caught my eye again, and I felt an overwhelming urge to know more about the people in it. As I reached out to touch the frame, I felt a sudden chill sweep through the attic, and the temperature dropped sharply. "Who are you?" I whispered into the silence, half hoping for an answer. In response, the air shifted, and I could almost hear a faint voice, a soft murmur that danced around the room. It was a sound that tugged at the edges of my consciousness, blending with the rustle of the sheets that covered the furniture. It was a sound of longing, of memories that clung to the walls like cobwebs, refusing to let go. The atmosphere thickened, and I felt a sudden wave of sorrow wash over me, an overwhelming sense of loss that was not my own. I realized then that the village held its past close, like a protective cloak. The family in the photograph hadn't just existed, they had lived, loved, and suffered within these walls, and their spirits lingered on, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. Compelled to learn more, I began researching the history of the village. I visited the local library, poring over dusty tomes and old records. The stories I uncovered were haunting tales of families who had lived and died in this quaint place, their lives intertwined with the land and the buildings that stood as a testament to their existence. Each page told of triumph and tragedy, love and loss, weaving a tapestry of life that had long since faded but refused to be forgotten. As Halloween approached, the village prepared for its annual festivities, a celebration of all things spooky. Yet, for me, the anticipation felt tinged with an uneasy energy. The decorations were vibrant and lively, but I sensed an undercurrent of something deeper, a connection to the spirits that roamed the cobblestone streets at night. I began to feel a responsibility to honor their memories, to ensure that their stories were not lost in the revelry of the season. On Halloween night, the village was alive with laughter and chatter. Families walked the streets in costumes, their faces lit by the glow of jack-o'-lanterns that lined the pathways. I patrolled the area, but my mind was elsewhere, lost in thoughts of the family from the photograph, the unspoken words that lingered in the attic of the antique shop. As the night grew darker, I felt drawn back to the shop, my heart pounding in anticipation. The revelry outside faded as I stepped inside, the door creaking shut behind me. The familiar chill enveloped me, and I made my way to the attic. The air was charged with energy, and I felt a presence guiding me. Standing before the family photo, I closed my eyes and whispered a prayer for the souls trapped in this place. "I honor your memories," I said softly, feeling a warmth spread through the room. "You are not forgotten." In that moment, the atmosphere shifted, and I felt a rush of energy wash over me, as if the spirits were acknowledging my words. The temperature seemed to rise, and the sadness that had enveloped the attic lifted slightly, replaced by a sense of peace. As I descended the stairs, I felt lighter, the weight of the past no longer pressing down on me. I knew then that the village was not just a place of history, it was a living entity, shaped by the stories of those who had come before. The cobblestone paths were woven with the threads of their lives, and as long as I remembered them, they would continue to walk alongside me. When I finally left the antique shop, I stepped into the night, the laughter of children echoing in the distance. The village felt vibrant, alive with the spirits of its past mingling with the joy of the present. Halloween was not just a time for fright, it was a celebration of the connections that bound us across time, a reminder that the echoes of history would always linger, waiting for someone to listen. And so, I continued my patrols, now with a renewed sense of purpose. I watched over the village not just as a police officer, but as a guardian of its stories, ensuring that the memories of those who had come before would never fade into the shadows. Each night, as I walked the cobblestone paths, I felt the presence of the spirits beside me, guiding me, reminding me of the importance of remembrance in a world that often forgets. The village, with all its secrets and stories, would forever hold a piece of my heart, a reminder of the delicate balance between the past and the present, between the living and the dead. Days turned into weeks, and with Halloween now behind us, the village returned to its usual rhythm. The haunted corn mazes were dismantled, and the decorations were taken down. However, my experiences lingered, like shadows cast by the fading autumn sun. I continued to patrol, but now I did so with a heightened awareness, a connection to the past that deepened with each passing night. The antique shop, with its unlocked doors and creaky floors, remained a focal point of my thoughts. I visited frequently, sometimes simply to sit in the attic and reflect. The family photograph now seemed like a portal, connecting me to the souls that had once filled this space with life and laughter. I often found myself wondering about their stories, who they were, what joys and sorrows they had known, and how their lives had shaped the village into what it was today. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the village was shrouded in twilight, I made my way to the antique shop. The door opened as I approached, just as it had on Halloween night. A chill ran through me, but it was accompanied by a sense of comfort, a welcoming embrace from the familiar presence of the past. I climbed the stairs to the attic, feeling a surge of energy as I entered the dimly lit room. The moonlight streamed through the dusty window, illuminating the furniture draped in white. I approached the family photograph, gazing at the faces captured in time. There was something different this time, an unmistakable warmth radiated from the frame, as if the family was reaching out to me, inviting me to learn more about their lives. "Who are you?" I whispered again, a question lingering on my lips. In that moment, the air shifted, and I felt the walls of the attic breathe. A soft whisper echoed around me, gentle yet filled with emotion. It was a voice, faint yet clear, as if the very essence of the family was speaking through the remnants of the past. "We are here," it said, the words wrapping around me like a comforting blanket. "We have not forgotten, nor have we been forgotten." Tears welled in my eyes as I felt the weight of their presence. The stories that had once been silenced were now yearning to be told, and I understood then that it was my responsibility to honor their memories, to share their legacy with the world. As the night deepened, I sat among the remnants of the past, listening to the stories unfold in my mind. Each tale was a thread woven into the fabric of the village, a reminder of the lives that had come before me. I felt a profound connection to the family, their hopes and dreams echoing through the years. I spent hours in the attic, lost in the stories that spilled forth, tales of laughter shared over family dinners, the struggles of making ends meet, and the love that bound them together. The voices of the past filled the room, mingling with the rustle of the sheets and the flicker of candlelight, creating a symphony of memories that resonated deep within me. When I finally left the shop, the stars sparkled brightly in the night sky, and the village felt alive with a new energy. I was no longer just a police officer. I had become a storyteller, a guardian of the memories that defined this place. I vowed to share their stories with the village, to ensure that the spirits of the past would never fade away. As I walked the cobblestone streets of our quaint village, the sun dipped low in the sky, casting warm, golden hues across the landscape. I often found myself lost in thought, pondering how the villagers would react to the stories of the family from the photograph that hung in the attic of the antique shop. Would they remember their own histories, their own connections to the past? The thought ignited a spark of hope within me, a belief that perhaps my efforts could revive the essence of our village, reminding everyone that we are all part of something greater, a tapestry woven through time. The antique shop had become my refuge, a place where the whispers of history were palpable. Each visit felt like stepping into a different era, and the attic filled with dust-covered furniture and forgotten treasures was a sanctuary for my thoughts. After my haunting experience on Halloween, I felt an overwhelming need to share the stories I had uncovered. The family from the photograph had captivated me, and I was determined to honor their memory by bringing the village together to reflect on our shared past. In the days that followed, I took action. I began organizing gatherings in the village square, a lively space that served as the heart of our community. With a mix of excitement and nervousness, I crafted invitations, encouraging everyone to join me in sharing their own stories, tales of love, loss, and connection to the land. I wanted to create an atmosphere where memories could be exchanged freely, a safe haven for the villagers to voice their experiences. The first gathering was modest, but as word spread, more and more villagers began to arrive. Faces brightened as they recognized one another, and laughter filled the air like music. I watched in awe as people began to open up, sharing their own narratives, intertwining their lives with those of their neighbors. It was a beautiful sight, watching the transformation unfold. The villagers laughed, cried, and reminisced, creating a sense of community that transcended generations. I noticed an elderly woman, Mrs. Hargrove, sitting quietly at the edge of the square. She had always been a fixture in the village, known for her wisdom and kind smile. Gathering my courage, I approached her, inviting her to share a story. With a twinkle in her eye, she spoke of her childhood, of days spent playing in the fields and the love she had for her late husband. Her words wove a tapestry of nostalgia, echoing the joys and struggles of a life well lived. As she spoke, the villagers leaned in closer, captivated by her memories. Inspired by her bravery, others began to share their stories. A farmer recounted the challenges of tending to the land, the hardships that had come and gone like the changing seasons. A young couple spoke of their dreams and aspirations, their hopes for a future intertwined with the village's legacy. Each story added another thread to the tapestry we were weaving, a collective narrative that celebrated our shared history. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and purple, I stood before the gathered crowd, my heart swelling with pride and gratitude. I had prepared to share the stories of the family from the antique shop, and as I began to speak, I felt their presence beside me. It was as if they were guiding my words, reminding me that they were never truly gone. I spoke of their joys and sorrows, their struggles and triumphs, painting a picture of their lives through the lens of their photograph. I described the laughter that once echoed through the halls of their home and the love that had bound them together. The villagers listened intently, their expressions shifting from curiosity to empathy as they connected with the emotions I conveyed. As the final words of their story hung in the air, a moment of silence enveloped the square. Then, as if a dam had burst, the villagers erupted in applause, a collective acknowledgement of the past that resonated deeply within each of us. The connection we shared that night was palpable, a bond forged by the memories of those who had come before us. It was a moment of unity, reminding us all that our stories mattered, that we were part of something larger than ourselves. The village thrived in the aftermath of our gatherings. The cobblestone streets echoed with laughter and conversation as people began to seek one another out, eager to share more tales. The spirit of community grew stronger, intertwined with the stories that now flowed freely. I saw neighbors helping one another, old friendships rekindled, and new ones forged through shared experiences. The antique shop, once a mere relic of the past, transformed into a beacon of hope for the future. It became a place where villagers gathered not just to buy or sell, but to share their lives. I opened the attic to the public, allowing them to explore the treasures that resided within. Each item sparked curiosity and conversation, connecting the villagers with the past in ways I had never imagined. The family from the photograph had given us a gift, the understanding that our histories are meant to be shared, cherished, and honored. They taught us that while the past may fade, it can never be truly lost as long as we remember and tell their stories. With each gathering, we breathed life into the memories of those who had come before us, ensuring that their legacies would not be forgotten. As I continued my patrols through the village, I carried their memories with me. I felt like a guardian, watching over the stories that now thrived in our community. The shadows that once felt haunting now danced with life, reminding me that the past is not something to be feared but celebrated. I was no longer just a police officer. I had become a storyteller, a bridge between the living and the dead, ensuring that the echoes of history would forever resonate in the hearts of those who called this village home. One chilly autumn evening, I organized a storytelling festival, inviting villagers to share their tales around a large bonfire in the square. The flames flickered against the night sky, casting a warm glow on the gathered crowd. As each person took their turn, I marveled at the richness of our shared heritage. There were stories of hardships overcome, of love that had blossomed against all odds, and of traditions passed down through generations. A local musician joined us, strumming a guitar and providing a soundtrack to our collective memories. The notes floated through the air, mingling with the laughter and tears that marked the night. I could see the villagers leaning into the stories, their eyes bright with recognition as they related to one another's experiences. Mrs. Hargrove shared a particularly poignant tale about her childhood home, a house that had witnessed both joy and heartache. As she spoke, the crowd was enraptured, hanging on her every word. I could feel the spirit of the family from the antique shop hovering nearby, lending strength to her voice. As the night wore on, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. We had created something beautiful together, a living tapestry that honored the past while nurturing the future. The village had come alive with stories, and in doing so, we had woven our lives together, creating a fabric of connection that would endure. In the months that followed, the gatherings became a regular occurrence, a cherished tradition that drew villagers of all ages. Children listened wide-eyed as their grandparents recounted tales of their youth, learning the history of our village and the values that had shaped it. The laughter and camaraderie strengthened our bonds, reminding us that we were never truly alone. As winter approached, I knew that the colder months would bring challenges, but I felt a sense of hope that had blossomed within the village. We were no longer just individuals living separate lives. We were a community united by our shared stories. The antique shop stood as a symbol of this transformation, a reminder that our history was alive and vibrant, waiting to be explored. As the last leaves fell from the trees, I gazed at the snow-capped rooftops of the village, feeling a profound sense of purpose. The family from the photograph had entrusted me with their story, and I had taken it to heart. In my role as a guardian of memories, I had discovered a deeper connection to the village and its people. On quiet nights, when the stars twinkled brightly in the sky, I would often find myself in the attic of the antique shop, gazing at the family photograph. I could almost hear their laughter mingling with the whispers of the past, a gentle reminder of the lives that had been lived and the love that had endured. In those moments, I felt a sense of fulfillment. The tales of the family had woven themselves into the very fabric of our village, becoming part of our collective identity. We had learned to embrace our histories, finding strength in the stories that connected us. I realized that while the past may be shrouded in mystery, it is also a source of inspiration and resilience. As I closed my eyes, I made a silent vow to continue sharing our stories, to honor the memories that had shaped us, and to ensure that the voices of the past would always find a place in the hearts of those who came after us. Together, we would weave a tapestry of love and connection that would endure for generations to come. And so, I walked the cobblestone streets with renewed purpose, a storyteller in a village rich with history, knowing that the echoes of the past would forever guide us toward a brighter future.